All right. Hey, we're live here with Dr. Cavill from the SWAC Championship. We've had great energy early. You know, we've crowned the champion with the women.
You saying the least.
Yeah. Hey, we've crowned the women.
This is Dr. Cavill with BCSN Game Time. We have a special edition to the show. He's been on here this week, so I want y'all to know. This is Coach Pittsburgh. He's a Hall of Famer in his own right. I just need y'all to recognize Coach in terms of Alabama A&M. He's done it on two different levels.
Right.
A lot of folks don't understand that they realize you from what you did in the SWAC with Alabama A&M.
Right.
But you were part of the team that brought Alabama A&M up when they were part of the SIAC with the legendary program that you had there, going to Elite Eight.
Right. Yeah. Right.
At the Division II level. Just missing out on a little bit on that Final Four. But the difference at the Division II level in a lot of ways is the Elite Eight is the Final Four for the Division I level.
Yes, it is.
So I wanted to give you some kudos and credits for that. But what you've done since then is still provide folks with insight to really understand the game of basketball.
Well, I try my best to. Basketball has been part of my life for so many years, and to coach it that long, and I just want to help people. I help kids in the community. I help coaches, whoever. I still recruit for different schools. When people call, say, "Coach, have you seen this kid in high school? If you have time, would you go look at him and give me an evaluation?" And I did the same thing when I was helping Coach Joe with the Knicks. When we would go out to scout, I learned the NBA scouting system also.
Okay.
Because I did that with Coach Joe for 3 years, and then he wanted me to replace him, but I said that's too much for me. I didn't want that. I did not want to be on the road that much because with them you got to do 5. You got to see them 5 times.
Okay.
And then 3 of them got to be live. So. That's a lot going to see a kid. But basketball is just in my blood.
And you teaching us. See, he teaching right now. That's my side. But he teaching.
Oh, no.
Good coaches teach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but see, basketball is in my blood, and whatever knowledge I have, I don't mind sharing it. And then I still want knowledge. I still learn every day now. I learn from different people about how they operate. And I think that's very important. And then for us to get the next generation of athletes and coaches ready, I think you need more of that, because that's what happened to me. John McClendon, I should sit and talk to this man every Final Four. So I learned about basketball. John Thompson, Don Chaney, and Ben Jobe. I learned about all this, man, about the history of basketball by being around these people while everybody else doing other things.
Yes, sir.
I'm with those guys. That's how I got my knowledge. A lot of my knowledge came from, it was handed down from those guys. And I want to do the same thing. I want to hand down what I know to somebody else. Why keep it?
That's right.
It's not helping me.
Yeah.
Give it up. Give it to some other people. And Doc, that's what you do. You all do the same thing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's what we try to do.
The symposium and stuff that you all do. That's what you're doing. You're passing along knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, that's really where you create a legacy to push it down. And I just wanted to say he dropping mics right here in the first before we even get into the analysis of the game. And I promise y'all people we are. Okay. But I know our listeners they want this. And why I do what I do is they love the game time analysis, but they're all in love with the SWAC.
Right.
Because they fell in love with the history of whatever time they got contact. Some of them from a little childhood. Some of them got introduced when they went to school. Some of them afterwards because they had children as uncles, aunts, grandfathers, grandmothers, right? Their children's children participated, a family connection about the HBCU culture. So before we get into this breakdown, I want to ask you this personally in terms of why do you feel that some of the great coaches, legendary coaches, really see so much about coaching, about teaching and connecting with the community and passing down those life lessons that allow folks to go do and be great in their own right, whether that's within sports or oftentimes, most times outside of sports.
Right, because a coach is a teacher. A real coach is a teacher. And you teaching more than that game. You teaching the game of life. And so you gotta touch on all these different aspects if you are true and genuine about helping people. It's not just about the wins and losses. It's winning in life, and that's what we're supposed to do. If God has given you that gift, you're supposed to share it, man, and you share it with these young kids, with these young people. So I think that's what it's all about, Doc. And I promise you, that's the way I came up. That's where I'm going out with it. I'm going out sharing.
You talking about talking with legends of the game, folks that I admire bigger than anybody else connected, other than obviously the founder of the game, and one of the two of the legends you talk about are connected with him directly too. So that says a lot in itself. Let's talk a little bit about this game, and then we'll merge back into some other dialogue about it. But you were here for all these games, and going into this championship game. What did you see in this matchup where Southern was able to really pull away? There was a part in the third quarter where it got a little bit interesting. It got to 10. Then you had a chance with a layup.
Yep.
Defensively, Southern doesn't quit, and they got the block. And then on the transition, they got a 3, and it was never close again after that. But that was a key moment to you. But break down the game in terms of your perspective. What are some key elements of the game?
Well, Southern's got to be aggressive on the offensive end. That's what I see. They must remain aggressive on the offensive end. And if you're going to talk about offense with Southern University.
Well, first I was talking about the women's game. I want to break down the women's game in terms of that matchup. Then we're going to get into men's.
Okay. With the women's game, what Coach Fontes did, he came out and they sent a message in the first 2 minutes of that contest. Wow. He let everybody know that we're here and we're for real. Wow. They did it on the defensive end of the floor. They started with defense now. Mm-hmm. They pressured Alabama State to the point where they just got frustrated. Okay. And offensively, Alabama State couldn't get anything going. That's why they went off on the big run. And the first half put Alabama State in a shell because Southern was playing so hard and so physical now. When you go back and you look at that game and you look at the stats and you see the fouls, those were some hard fouls in that paint. They did an outstanding job. The game plan that he had for Alabama State was different than the one he had for Alabama A&M. They never trapped the post not one time in this Bama State game, okay? They killed Alabama A&M, trapping them in the post, okay? Okay. So his focus was to make sure that the point guards for Alabama State didn't get everybody else involved. They took them out of the game, man. They made it hard for them to swing the ball to the other side of the floor. Okay. They jumped passing lanes. They did everything that you're supposed to do on the defensive end. And then on the offensive end, they had a little freedom. They shot the ball from long range in this game, and they shot it well. Then they stepped up, and they did something they had not done all year in this tournament. They go to the free throw line and put them down. Coming into the game, they were only averaging 57% from the free throw line.
A little over half.
Right. And they shot over 70% in every game in this tournament.
From a coaching perspective, what in championship games have you seen over the period of time that belies the average? What have you seen that creates situations? Is it just guys or women that get in a situation that they step above, or the things that you have them focused that allows them maybe if they can get to that point all of a sudden?
Let me tell you something. It starts before the tournament. Okay. I'm gonna tell you for both Southern teams, it started at Alabama A&M.
Oh wow!
I talked to Carlos after the loss.
Yeah,
he came up
because they lost. Right, people didn't realize they lost both to Alabama A&M in the regular season.
Yes,
twice.
Yes,
both to Alabama State twice. Both of them the last weekend to close out the season when they weren't playing well, but they played close.
Right. I got to Carlos after his game before the men's game.
Yes,
and he was in good spirits. I said, Carlos, hey man, that was tough. That was tough. He said, yeah, coach. He said, what'd you see? I said, well, to me, if you drop free throws, you walk out of here with a win. Okay. He said, yeah, you're right. You're right. We didn't hit free throws. And it was there. The stats showed that.
Yeah. I mean,
the game, every game that they played, Alabama A&M and Southern women played, it went down to the last possession, man. Went down to the last possession. So if you're that close, you at home, you on the road, all you got to do is tweak a couple of things. And he did that. He did that the third time around. He didn't trap at Southern. He didn't trap at Alabama A&M. I'm talking about in the post now. Yeah, full court. Yes, they did that.
So just one little additional wrinkle can be the difference when you talk about teams that are really at the same caliber, depending on what happened this season. And you think about it, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and Southern in terms of the quality of where they are. They were at the top of the conference. Right. All these close games here and there, yeah, they beat up on some teams, but you talk about where they are. When you get in the tournament, people oftentimes just look at where you finish in the regular season, not really looking at matchups, not looking at what you did against teams that you may face in the tournament where you close.
Right.
So it's fascinating when you get a chance to really give some insight for those fans that want to see a little more than what they hear.
And then go back and look at the game and watch the timeouts. Okay. Every time there was a timeout, something different took place on the court.
Okay.
He would change things up. That's a sign of a good coach. He would change things up. He caught every team in this tournament. He caught them off guard coming out of timeouts.
How much challenging is that during a game as a coach to understand you got your preseason where you're really mixing things up, then you go for some things in the regular season conference. Depending on where you are, you might say, all right, we're going to chase this championship. If not, we're going to keep some things in your bags. What is your experience about understanding, all right, we're going to save something that we see, but we don't want to do it now. We're going to save it for the tournament.
That's a great strategy. That's what you should do. You got to always have something in your back pocket, Doc. Okay. You got to have something in your back pocket that you can bring out that they haven't seen, but that your kids understand now. You can have it in your pocket. If your kids can't execute it,
you keep it there.
Yeah, it better stay in your pocket.
That's good. Before we take this first break and come back and really look at this next tournament, I want to ask you just from a historical standpoint, let's go back and talk a little bit about the history from HBCU sports. Let's widen it. Obviously, we're here in the SWAC. We love the SWAC, what it is, what it's become, what it's been, but you also have the luxury of being in the SIC.
Right.
Talk a little bit about what's so special about both. Okay. The SIC that operates at the Division II level with a lot of great history, a lot of great programs. Some of them over a period of time have transitioned to the Division I level, whether it's in the MEAC, a sister conference, or the SWAC. Talk about first SIC, the regular season and tournament, what makes that special at the Division II level, and then let's cap it off in terms of the SWAC, in terms of what's special about it, history over a period of time at the Division I level.
Okay. When in Division II, when we were in the SIC, we had great coaches in there also. I'm talking about, you talk about Oliver Jones down at Albany State.
Yeah.
A lot of people forgot about Pritchard, who used to be over at Clark Atlanta.
Yes.
All right. Then you got Art McAfee over at Morehouse. Then you got the legend Coach Johnson up at Lamorne Owens.
That's right.
So see, there are people. There are coaches that a lot of people have never heard of because they're in the Division II level. Yeah. But we, in the coaching profession, we know about them because them guys will clean your clock now. They will clean your clock. You hear me? Coach Johnson.
You home with that in.
Right. Coach Johnson has won over 700-800 games as a college coach. So you got coaches that can play. In the SIC, it was more family oriented. We as coaches, we just didn't compete. We got together when we went to coaches meetings or if we met at the Final Four, we were always together. We always broke bread. We did things because the thing that we wanted to let everybody in the league know, hey, we compete for them 2 hours. When we off the court, we're all in this together. What can we do as a group to help us elevate the game of basketball in the SIAC?
Okay.
And that's the way it was.
That's important to know.
Right. And to be honest, I'm going to be honest with this one now. When I first got to the SWAC, it was not that way.
Right.
They had their own little cliques.
Yeah.
And I asked about it. They looked at me like I said, hey, man, when do we get together? They said, what are you talking about? I said, when do we as coaches get together? I said, I don't want to all the time I see you all is when we throw the ball up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, we don't do that. We weren't meeting at the Final Four.
Wow.
And so we got all that started, man. And so
that's good that you brought that in.
Right. And I said, look, man, this is how we did it in the SIC. We knew each other. I know everybody's family that I coached against. I don't know nothing about none of you all, man. When did you learn that? I can't learn it in the handshake line before a game.
Yeah, it's personal there.
Right. But no, the two leagues are so similar because we all have the same mission. We're working without everything that you need to get the job done, but we're getting the job done anyway. We do more work. This is what I've told people before. Coach K is a great coach, but put him at an HBCU with all the things that you have to do as an HBCU coach. Can he do that? A lot of us can transition and go to Duke and those places and do well because all we have to do is concentrate on his coaching. Wow. So that's out there. That's a part of it, man. But we grind, we work. I think we care about our players a little bit more because we got to show them that it's more than trying to play on the NBA level.
Culturally,
because you're going to be a professional in life, in your workplace.
And it's about a community. I need you. I have no choice but to make sure that you're right because it's about what's coming behind you and what you're going to do in your community and beyond that to make sure that we as a people proceed and take advantage of the next opportunity and not let things go backwards.
Right.
Because you lived and seen that history. Let me give you a little bit of nugget, and I promise we'll go to a break. I got a chance to go to MEAC. You know, I like to go around and make sure we tell that story about HBCUs beyond where we are, which obviously connected to SWAC, I hold personally and dearly.
Right.
But it's important for me to see beyond that. And so I did the MEAC on Thursday. Went up to Norfolk. And so I got to catch the post game in their tournament style that they do the men in the evening. They have 2 and 2 like most tournaments, but the women in the morning and the men in the evening. So the last game happened to be Southern's Mouton historic coach, as we won championships, as you know, at the Division II level as a player. Did it at Division I, was part of the group, similar to yourself, that transitioned North Carolina Central from Division II to Division I and made it work. But he had a matchup against Maryland Eastern Shore against Cleo Hill Jr., which has a lot of history in itself.
Cleo Hill Sr.,
right. So I know you recognize that. Yeah. But one of the unique things about seeing this, and I try to give this to the fans, is I was in the post game. Mm-hmm. So 2 of his players that helped him get Maryland Eastern Shore where they were happened to be transfers.
Wow.
One was D2 that came with him from Winston-Salem State as he took the job. And the other player was from the SIAC. And so he paid a lot of homage. And I asked the player about this transfer portal. Now you have some challenges there, but also understand the importance about giving people the opportunity.
Right.
But I took the opportunity to ask the players, what was good about your transfer and what was bad? And they said, well, just the normal things about transferring and trying to get anything. But he also talked about at the Division II level, I asked him what was the difference in his transition. And you talked about the similarities and a lot of that. And he said a lot of things were similar. The thing that he noticed was his wing players.
Right.
He said they were a little bigger, a little quicker, a little stronger, just a little bit. And it took him a little while to get used to that. But once he did that, he did well. These were both all-conference players.
Right.
To give you some indication of how talented they were and how they started to transition to Maryland Eastern Shore. So your point on when you talk about the excellence in HBCU beyond maybe just a conference affiliation, whether it's Division I and Division II. So I wanted to share that because I know they were hit home.
Yep.
Let's take first break. We'll come back on the other side. Then it's time to transition. We'll bring in Charles Bishop, and we'll team up along with Coach, and we're going to talk a little bit about the matchup tonight and get some insight that you don't always get. You're going to get it from Charles. You know that he does his homework. We're going to take a little – bring some love for Mike Washington when talking about the data doctor, but Charles does his own way.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
It's the 37th annual Zora Festival. It's in Edenville, Florida, Saturday, January 31st and February the 1st. On Saturday, the all-white party tribute to Frankie Beverly with bass guitarist Jubu. Bread, Sunset, and Taisha Williams. And on Sunday, the Line Dance Party Live with Jeter Jones, Mike Clark Jr., and Boss Lady Coco. Tickets available at zorafestival.org.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
We're back.
This is Dr. Ville with BCSN Game Time. We're here in Atlanta College Park as we're here for the getting ready for the men's championship game of the SWAC. Somebody has their dancing shoes on and they will get an invitation to the tournament. Talking about the tournament, as we talked about earlier, we give love in BCSN. We cover all HBCU sports. So those that haven't caught it yet, Winston-Salem State Rams continue on their historic season as they got a win yesterday as they continue playing. They were winning earlier today. At halftime, they had a lead. We did have a couple of tough losses. Fayetteville State had a double overtime loss to Seton Hill, 88-85. You had Nova taking down Miles. They kind of remind me of some of them featherweight teams in terms of what they do, blitzing you. Terrifying you all the way up down the court as they got it to Miles 91-71. But as we continue to push forward, we got some better news for you today where we have a couple of other scores. I want to give you an update as we lean forward. Winston-Salem State was leaning early in the half, so we'll give you some updates there. Virginia Union won 52-46 on the men's side. Division II, as they seem like they back to the business that we know Virginia Union when they ripped down some of those Division II national championship over the years.
The White Shadow.
The White Shadow did his thing, didn't it? So that's fascinating. Also want to give you an update with Morehouse down 49-29 early in the second half. Winston-Salem State is up still 53-34 in the third quarter. So it looks like they're on their way trying to give some stuff. And then out of the SWAC, we have Alcorn State get an invitation from the WNIT. We have the Black College Invitational Tournament. So they've gotten their seeds in terms of commitment from the Division II level. So I'll give you some updates in terms of what that looks like. And we have the Division I teams. It looks like we have 2 teams that are coming in from the MEAC, and we're working on finalizing some invitations for the SWAC till we get some signatures. I don't want to belabor that point, but we look like this year we will have the Division I teams in terms of what that looks like. So we're excited about that announcement. In terms of the teams for the Black College Invitational Championship at the Division II level on the men's side, these will be broadcast on HBCU Go. It is at Virginia State University. In terms of that, just outside of Richmond, obviously, in Frederickville. So excited. At the end of the month, we'll get a chance to see some more HBCU basketball in terms of team competition. Division II, you'll have a first-round matchup that features CIAA against the SIAC. Bluefield State will face up against Central State on the men's side. And then you will have Virginia State, as you would imagine, home team, see if they can get a little love there, against Edward Waters on the men's team. And then on the women's side, we got Virginia State on the women's side facing up against Benedict College, which would be a really good matchup. Then you have Bowie State against Central State. So you got that CIAA, SIAC matchups. And, again, we're looking forward to matching up on the men's side, MEAC against the SWAC. And we'll see what that looks like in terms of moving forward there. So want to get some final notes before we move into this big game today. I'm going to start with you, Charles, in terms of what are your front-facing facts that you want to get in before we let Coach, who's brought out all his notes. Hey, you know we're going to get some real insight.
Just rosters. Just rosters. Go ahead.
He got it all up there. He said, don't play me like that.
Well, I'm curious to get Coach's insight because to me, it's sort of the matchup. I mean, one of the things you look at, especially with Prairie View, is they have guys who can get downhill and get in the lane.
I promise you.
And that's what I'm, really interested to see is how does Southern defend guys like Dante Horn, guys who can really they play downhill. I mean, do you zone them? What do? Do you make them beat you from outside? That it's the matchup part.
Right now, you hit the nail on the head, and that's what I was going to talk about. Downhill basketball is what has put Prairie View in this championship.
So a lot of folks understand downhill basketball. For those that don't, give us a little more. No, I just want to give a little more insight.
Okay, in today's game, they go 5 out, put 5 people on the perimeter, and they drive the basketball. Driving the basketball, when you pick up a stat sheet and you look and say, oh, they scored 40 points in the paint. Now, you're going to the average person thinks that their post player scored those points. No, these are guards and wings getting to the basket by dribbling the basketball, beating their guy, but they're doing it at a very physical level. When you watch this game, some of these guys need some pads on, football pads on, because the offensive players are really beating them up when they go to the glass. And Dante Horn, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's a clean knockout. If Prairie View wins this game, he's the MVP of this tournament, all right? If Southern wins the game, Jacob's going to be the MVP of the tournament. And you know why? Because both of those guys have the same mentality. They get to the basket, man. See, the game, when they started bringing these European players over there, everybody thinks you got to shoot from the perimeter. You got to get to the basket, man. When you go to the basket, you're doing 2 things. Number one, you're making it tough on them to defend. You're getting their people in foul trouble. When you shoot jump shots, ain't nobody getting no foul trouble. Right. So you got to go to the basket, make that coach go to his bench. Now, what I see tonight, Southern has a bench. Coach Johnson, 2 years ago when we were talking, I said, Coach, you 2-3 players away from being a champion. He said, why you say that, Coach? I said, because that's all you need to add to what you already have so that you'll have a bench. I said, if you play a bench with the way you playing, you're going to win some games. That man took off. He plays 10 people religiously. And because of that style, he can pressure you defensively and offensively. He's going to get it up and down the floor in transition. Then they're going to turn around and they're going to defend your butt, man. And that's what the difference is. Now with Prairie View, Man, Coach Smith has always been a defensive coach, but now he's got some guys who can score the basketball. When you start talking about Joseph and Horn, now Joseph, you got to reel him in sometimes now because he'll stand out there jacking up them threes. And in the game last night, Coach pulled him out because in the Florida game, they had everything going. Everything was going downhill. Now he is out here shooting threes and missing. Okay, it's a different story if they're going in. Coach sat him down. He saw the light. See, when you become assistant coach over there as a player, you'll see the light. You'll see a lot of stuff, man. You'll see a lot of stuff.
That's fascinating.
You'll see a lot of stuff. So then when he goes back in the game, now he's in tune with the other players. Let's get to the basket. That's all. That's
Cutting
all
off
that
to
happens.
going to the basket.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see, so when you start talking about difference in the game, Division II to Division I, wing players are bigger. They are bigger. They're stronger. And you got some strong guys in here, wing players that are in the SWAC, and they're matching up in the championship game tonight.
It does make me ask another question. Could there be an unsung hero, a guy like a Corey Wells, a guy who can raise up over anybody, it seems like?
And that's what happened last night. Wells was a difference maker.
Okay.
Wells was a difference maker. And that's why they're in the championship game.
Sure.
Let me go back and follow that in terms of that. Before I do that, I do want to give a final 94-60. Nova takes out Morehouse in terms of what they got to do. Morehouse had a terrific season.
Yes.
Ran into the number one seed in that, and they got a buzzsaw that plays the game a little differently. It's hard to practice against. But getting back to this particular matchup, when you talk about the fact where players are going downhill, how do you defense that? If you know what do you try to get?
Well, number one, you got to match them up. You got to get them up. You reduce their touches. Don't let them have the ball as much, right? Then the other thing you can do, you got to play some zone.
Okay.
You zone it every. I'm not saying stay in a zone, but coming out of a timeout, this time what can you do against the zone? Because we're gonna keep it on the perimeter. Because we're not letting you get to the basket. Because we're gonna zone it up on you, right? The other thing, coming off a screen and rolls, how are we gonna defend that? Well, since you're not shooting a jump shot, we gonna step back to prevent the drive. You're not getting to the basket off of a screen because we're gonna make you shoot the jump shot because according to the stats, you can't shoot it. But you can get to the basket. You can get to the basket. So it's gonna be individual matchups. Now, are you gonna step back on Wells? No, because he's gonna bust. He gonna knock it down, right?
Right.
So now you got to get up on him. But Horn and the rest of them guys, you come back, you step back, and don't try to. I would not defend them the entire game in man-to-man. No way. No way, because I'm getting my guys in foul trouble.
Right. It up, so.
Yeah, you got to mix it up.
Absolutely.
Let's go a little bit inside pregame locker room. Give us some coaching insight in terms of, we've heard coaches talk about before, sometimes they rah-rah, sometimes not, and they tend to try to find the level of the skin. What was your secret in terms of championship level games? What did you do?
Fellas, we're here because of the way we play. We're going to be us. We're going to be us. Let them stop us. And that's me. That's Van Pettaway. Right. Let them stop us. We ain't got to worry about them. Can they outscore us?
Yeah.
Let's do what we do best. If we brought you in all year and we told you wanted to be a rebounder, you rebound the basketball.
Got it.
You're my shooter. Son, do not pass up an open shot. Take your shot. Have confidence. I got confidence in you. We're here because of you. Let's go.
What makes tournament ball so special?
Well, because of the you understand that if you don't play a good game, you go home. It's one and done.
Yeah.
There's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what makes it special.
Let me go back a little bit, and while we got you talking about that experience about playing through conferences and regular seasons, what is the change that you go from what you do in the regular season to when you first get into tournament play, whether it's first a conference tournament or then in terms of national tournament play? Well,
in the conference tournament, you know more about your opponent because either you played them twice or this is your third time playing them.
Okay.
So the familiarity is there, right, on that. When you're in the national tournament, you don't even see them guys until you see them on film. Or you're doing it like in our case when we went, we didn't see them until the day of the game because back then you were still using VHSs. So the VHS didn't even get to the hotel to the day of the doggone game. So I'm serious. So I'm serious. So your preparation, you concentrate on your own team and what you do best and what you need to correct.
Well, Coach, I realize there's always preparation going into the game, but did you have light bulb moments, where you was like, oh, they're trying to do this to me. This is what we're about to do now.
That's why you got to involve your staff, because one person is not going to see everything.
I'm just going to ask you, how important is that staff? Talk a little bit about
all of my coaches that have ever worked for me will tell you that Van Pettaway allowed them to do their jobs, allowed them to do the work, and if they didn't do the work, they had to leave. I said, if you don't want to be a head coach, you don't need to be around me. I want you to work hard. And so every time we call a timeout, what did you see from me and my staff? We huddle before I go over there to them players, because I want to know, Doc, what do you see? Charles, what are you seeing? Okay, now, this is what I see. Now, let's go in here and straighten it out. Yep.
Good stuff. Yeah. Following. So we talked about a couple of key factors in terms of this match of each team. What is the difference when the ball tips off and you get in the game matchups and you listen to your coaches during timeouts? How much of that can you really get into? Because, as fans and viewers, we're trying to watch and we're trying to interpret. But it's a little different when you're on that sideline and things are going this fast.
Doc, I'm going to tell you something that you must keep in mind. You need to see how the officials are going to officiate the game.
Okay. I like that.
That's one of the first things you got to try to figure out, man, because how they call a game, you need to adjust to what they're doing on the floor, else you're not going to have a team.
That's a really good point.
Yep.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Wow, when you talk about, and that's the variable that you can't control.
Right, correct.
Whether your team is ready or not, if you play a certain style, and they're calling in a different way that doesn't allow you to be effective in your style.
See, Doc, with my press, if they're calling it tic-tacking, I got to come out of one. There's a certain press I cannot run at that time. You say that for the end of the game because they ain't gonna blow the whistle.
Okay.
All right, but you don't start the game with that if you know. See, referees have certain tendencies too, just like we as coaches.
Exactly.
So if I see so-and-so in the game, say, we can get him tonight, fella, let's go. We going all out. But if I see a certain guy like Doug Charles or something, I say, hold up, man. We can't run that press.
He don't do that. He don't do that.
Yep.
So what is some of your most fond memories in terms of turning play? Let me start. I like to get both sides.
Go ahead,
so I'm going to start one with the SIC. And then we'll get one in the SWAC. What is
I think the biggest thing I still remember, we're in the national playoffs. We're up at Kentucky Western. They won over 100 games at home, non-conference, right? Mm-hmm. They had me down by 20 at halftime. We win by 6 because we went in the locker room and I pulled the paint off the wall. My boys came out. We came out and we played. We played well. We played well. And then, of course, my SWAC championship against Alabama State University, our rival, on the last time the SWAC played a championship game on a Sunday. We prayed before the game, but when we had church service before the game, and then went out and beat Alabama State. So those are two of my fondest memories.
Yep. You got another question, follow up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by that because, it's coming out of halftime. Like you said, you just paint off balls, things of that nature. But just what is it? Tap it in. You have to know the personality.
Oh, yeah. You got to know your players now.
Yeah.
Okay. Both of you all have different personalities. So me as the coach, I can't treat you the same way I treat him. Okay. I can get on you, but I can't get on him because he can't handle it.
Right.
He goes in the shell. When I get on you, you elevate your game. So as a coach, you have to know your personnel. You have to know your players. And then it doesn't happen on the court. It's got to happen off the court. We got to love each other off the court where you know that the only time I'm going to get on you is during that game. And once it's over with, we back the way. Hey, let's go. Let's go get a burger. Yeah, that kind of thing. So you got to be like that, man.
Yeah. And you call that correctly because my wife and my mom tell me, hey, you can't get on Kavil like that.
Right. Yeah.
He going a little shade.
Right.
Hey, you pimp him up, boy. Yep. Clean the house. Do all the dishes.
Exactly.
Everything done. He out there. He happy.
Yeah.
You get to talk
human relations 101.
Right. But your team is that same way.
Yeah.
Yep,
that's real talk. Let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side, and we're right up against it. It's time as the bands come in, and then Petaway got to go do some prep for his show.
Yes, indeed.
And so Charles and I,
very intriguing to me in terms of when you start to argue. Just the last 5 years, or does it go beyond that when you talk about Charles and what happened before the SWAC, or do you go all the way back to the legendary time in 1978-79 when they played in the semifinals of the first FCS, at that time, 1AA championship? Well, FAMU went to Jackson and edged out FAMU and ultimately won the championship. Do we take it back?
Keep going back. 61, 62.
Or do you go back, I was going to say, to the Orange Blossom years that decided national championship after you had conference champions face off? Multiple, so this splits multiple conferences in different ways. So I will say this. I render my judgment that just because one side does not want it to be a rival, the fact that this goes off into tangents, interrupts the inside the HBCU sports lab, I declare, by any definition of the word, this is certainly a rivalry because y'all just can't get enough talking about it, whether you talking about whether it is or not. When you have two fan bases that can't stand each other, it may not be Jackson State's number one rivalry. It may not be FAMU's one rivalry. But I tell you, anybody else outside of you all two that looks at this understands, by definition, this is a rivalry. Case dismissed. The show will continue. We'll take our first break and come back on the other side.
Perfect. Okay. All right, we're back. We're live. We're ready to go. Come on.
This is Dr. Cavill, Black College Sports Network. Game time. We're here in the SWAC in College Park here in Greater Atlanta, giving you some love for the SWAC basketball tournament. We've crowned one champion today. That was on the women's side. That was Southern defeating Alabama State. And now we have a matchup on the men's side, which is going to be Southern against Prairie View. Some people call it Cinderella. You asked Coach, he said, no, we expect to be here. But you have a top seed versus 8th seed. Interesting enough, Southern last year was the number 1 seed coming in. They got bumped off by 8th seed early. Now they found a way to kind of find it on the back other side and get some upsets themselves for some people's perspective as they find themselves back in the championship game. A little bit of history tonight that people may not realize. This will be first time in the SWAC expanded 12 era that we could have a team do it both on the men's side and the women's side.
Okay.
On the other side, if you have Prairie View do it, this is the first time in this modern era that you would have a team that has won the football championship and then coming down and doing it with the men's championship on basketball.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history on the line tonight. But we have a special guest. Enough about us and me talking. It's time to turn it over. If you would, introduce yourself and the company that you're with.
Yes, I'm KB with KB Sports Media and KBSN. We have a sports streaming network online on Roku as well as web TV. And so we are here, excited to be here. It's my first day covering. I have my reporter Ray here that's been here all week. And he's been super excited about covering the entire week.
So let's get into it before we talk about some projects that you have planned with the SWAC moving forward. Let's talk about what you've seen today and what you've heard in terms of what are your thoughts been about the SWAC basketball tournament?
Well, I have just been super excited about everything I've heard and what I saw today. So seeing Southern go back-to-back, very exciting to see. We love those type of storylines. I had a chance to go into the presser, talk to Jocelyn Tate, who said she wants to take down a 1 seed. And I asked her, now, how do you plan to do that? Now, you have the UConns and the South Carolinas, but she talked about, any day, anybody can win.
That's
and, there's always a formula for that. So I enjoyed seeing that as well. I am going to really enjoy tonight. I know the last time that Southern played, there was a big win as well. So very excited to see that. And I actually wrote Cinderella story in my opener, so I guess I won't say that since Coach.
He said he accepted it now. He said some people will write it. He said he just said from his perspective in terms of what that looks like.
I wrote that. I said their storybook run as an 8th seed, and that would be very exciting if they're able to take that championship and go into the round of 68 in the field of 68. That would be very exciting to see because just like on the women's side, you never know any given day anybody can be upset.
That's right.
Yeah.
And as we walk around, you see the dignitaries. You see President Prairie A&M University, President LeGrand here, coming in here and being excited. She's excited about this matchup coming in there. And so you'll see that across the board. You'll see legends that we had on, Coach Pettaway. You'll see presidents, athletic directors, all in the mix. But it's our job to make sure we give that information to the people. So, Charles, you got a follow-up question?
Yeah, I want to talk about your company, especially with the way people consume a television now, the world of streaming.
Absolutely. So we have a number of different ways that we communicate. So, of course, we have our web TV because everyone doesn't have Roku, right?
True.
So we want to make sure that people can still have access to what we do as well. We write articles because some people, still like to write and read, and we do that as well. We also are partnering with 100.9 The Blaze here in Atlanta to do a sports radio show, and we're going to live stream that as well. So because it's going to be here in South Atlanta area, my dad lives in South Georgia. He won't be able to hear it unless I live stream it. So we want to make sure that we're hitting all different ways so people can consume our content. And what I really love is that we want to not just focus on articles and game recaps, but also original content. So we have stories such as a women's sports bars. We did a series on that.
Nice.
So we really want to bring in original content and focus on those sports industry, sports teams that are underrepresented, like HBCUs, like SWAC conference, like lacrosse teams and volleyball teams that a lot of people don't know about that are right here in Metro Atlanta.
I can't let you get away talking about the women's sports bar. Talk a little bit more about
Exactly.
what is that?
So there are a number of women's sports bars across the country. I visited 3 of them personally. I had a chance to talk to their owners, their patrons, and really get a feel of it. Now, I want to say that not all of them are just about women's sports and just for women. They play men's sports as well. They are very inclusive to everybody, but it's a place where women don't have to fight to have our sports
There's
on TV.
space. I like it.
We're going to make sure that women's volleyball, women's hockey, women's basketball is on the forefront.
Yeah.
And shout out to Chelsea from Jolene here in Atlanta. She was the first person to let me come in and interview her, let me do some work with her, and she connected me with so many other women doing exactly what she's doing across the country.
Oh, wow. Very exciting, very important
really cool.
in terms of providing that opportunity
Good space.
as you blaze new trails.
Yes.
But as you do that, let's talk a little bit about the next step. What are some of the plans moving forward?
Plans moving forward is to continue to do what we're doing with the original content. Continue to go to the spaces where a lot of people don't cover, like coming here. We got the email to cover SWAC conference literally the day before it started. Wow. Someone said, hey, I'm volunteering. Why are you all not there? We just finished the ACC women's tournament. We were like, all right, Ray, go down there. And Ray was here. He did his job. We want to continue to do that. We want to continue to be in those spaces, continue to network, and continue to be a sports entity that people can know that they're going to have their voices heard. Sure. That's what we're going to continue to do. And who knows, in the next 10 years, maybe Disney will call and try to buy us out. Who knows? Who knows what will happen with that?
Exactly.
I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the passion that you have in being out front. Talk a little bit about how you got into this.
Oh, wow. So I wanted to be a sportscaster when I was a yay high little girl. Stuart Scott was my idol, late great Stuart Scott. If you haven't seen his documentary on ESPN, please watch it. Absolutely. But have tissues. I knew I wanted to do this. So I went to Georgia State University here in Atlanta and started to do sports broadcasting. But for about 10 years or so, I got away from it. I did corporate.
Oh, wow.
I did corporate training. I did DEI. That's a whole different story for another day, guys.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately.
when the election happened, DEI kind of went away. And we all know the story with that. So I said, I got to figure out something to do. I was 40 years old and went back to journalism. And
the basic root. That's good.
Yeah, I went back to my roots. I had a really special guy in my life at that time that said, go make it a business. Don't just be a pretty face on camera. Be a businesswoman. So I thank him for that. So thank you, Tony, for that. He went to an HBCU. So shout out to that as well. And that encouragement and passion that he saw in me, I decided to continue that, and I made it a business, not to be another pretty face on camera.
That's an important story. Well, let's take our last break as the bands are coming in, and you won't be able to hear us as they get started.
Not at all.
So we'll be right back after this last break and have some closing thoughts on this game and get you ready to tune in to see the action as we will crown a champion, somebody will put on their shoes and go dance.
Somebody's going dancing.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much to KB Media for joining us today. And to break we go.
It's very intriguing to me in terms of when you start to argue. Just the last 5 years? Or does it go beyond that when you talk about Charles and what happened before the SWAC? Or do you go all the way back to the legendary time in 1978-79 when they played in the semifinals of the first FCS, at that time, 1AA championship? Well, FAMU went to Jackson and edged out FAMU and ultimately won a championship. Do we take it back?
Keep going back. 61, 62.
Or do you go back, I was going to say, to the Orange Blossom years that decided national championship after you had conference champions face off? Multiple, so this splits multiple conferences in different ways. So I will say this. I render my judgment that just because one side does not want it to be a rival, the fact that this goes off in the tangents, interrupts the inside the HBCU sports lab, I declare, by any definition of the word, this is certainly a rivalry because y'all just can't get enough talking about it, whether you're talking about whether it is or not. When you have two fan bases that can't stand each other, it may not be Jackson State's number one rivalry. It may not be FAMU's one rivalry. But I tell you, anybody else outside of you all two that looks at this understands, by definition, this is a rivalry.
Is Dr. Cavill with BCSN Game Time. We're here in Atlanta. That is really College Park right here at the center getting it done as I see a legend walk in front of me getting it done for Prairie View A&M University doing that, playing basketball. He's here to celebrate his basketball team to see if they can bring home a championship. But before I get your final thoughts on that, I did want to give some final updates. You heard earlier, or may not, that Howard on the men's side clinched their ticket as they beat North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central jumped out early as we were watching streaming, as we were watching the women's championship. As we told you, Southern clinched their ticket and got it done against Alabama State. Well, Howard did defeat North Carolina Central, took down Coach Mouton, and now you have another legend in the making getting it done over there in the MEAC with Howard. 70-63 as Howard has won their third championship in the MEAC over that period of time. You have all American players, some of them getting it done in so many different ways. Fascinating when you think about that. And then on the women's side, Howard makes it a double-double as they get it done on the women's side of that matchup as they take down Norfolk State that had a vice crimp on the women's championship 3 in a row. And they split that between the last time the team won is Howard. So now she's back in the fold. Norfolk State changes coaches, and you get in the mix where Howard gets it done against Norfolk State, winning 53-46. Really good games in terms of that matchup. And again, right here in the SWAC, to bring it home, you do have Southern that ran away against Alabama State, winning 73-56. Coach Funches is really stapled and put a final punch in terms of his resume of this year, and I'm sure he would like to tell you that he's not finished. So that's fascinating when you talk about the fact that he's won now going on, what is that, 4 championships in 8 years. But I wanted to go a little deeper than that when you think about the fact of what he's done over that time. Winning 3 regular season championships. Then he got 2 when he was assistant coach with Sandy Pugh. So his shelf is really getting full in terms of his resume over a relatively short period of time. Over what most people would say is a pretty legendary program in terms of coaches getting it done before him. But he's stacking up against them and doesn't have to take a back seat other than maybe the coach that does it first. So a lot of ways, kudos in terms of what that looks like. So I'm fascinated about that. That is 8 championships, 8 appearances, as I said before. But let's transition to this game as the bands are starting to play and really announcing themselves in their presence. What are your final thoughts in terms of this matchup with Prairie View and Southern?
I think you have 2 marquee players in this game. When you talk about Dante Horn, as well as a young man from that hit the shot last night, Michael Jacobs from Southern. When you take a look at both of them, the question I asked Coach Petaway was, who's going to be the unsung hero? Will it be a Corey Wells? Will it be a Cam Amber? I remember Cam Amber in high school. He has a different role with the Southern basketball team, but he can score basketball. So I'm looking for who is that unsung hero, that person that you might not expect to get 15, 18 points out of tonight.
I think that's really interesting, and I'll leave it here on this. It's like somebody gets the chance to make history in what I call this expansion 12 era of the SWAC. That's 12 members of the SWAC. It started in 2021. No team has done it double-double in terms of men's and women's, and no team since the creation of the Celebration Bowl, which now includes that SWAC expansion, has won a championship on the football side of the time. At the same time, they come back and win a men's championship. Somebody will do that today, so it'll be interesting to see at the buzzer who will get what is more important to a lot of folks, the championship. But for Prairie View, you're talking about $3.5 million infusion in their budget.
Yeah.
When you really talk about what that means on the table after the money they got with the SWAC championship game, and then the Celebration Bowl, and then obviously what you get from the NCAA. This is the triple whammy that I told a lot of folks. Now the next measure is somebody that can do it in all 3, meaning they win the football, they get to the Celebration Bowl, win it as well, and then they win it both men's and women's, because now women get some funding associated.
Absolutely.
So we'll see, can Prairie View do it and at least knock out 2 of those 4 quadrants, if you would, or will Southern find a way to make their statement in terms of saying, no, we got a total program, at least on the basketball side, as Howard did it earlier?
Yeah.
Is that a precursor? Or will Prairie View have a coach, legendary Coach Smith, that won 3 straight championships, and people forgot that he was a championship level coach?
Yeah.
One tournament, remember the second tournament he didn't get to do because you had COVID. So he kind of has resurrected himself and let everybody know it's like, no, I can still coach.
Yeah.
I just needed a couple of things.
I just thought about what would be real fun. When your AD rankings come out later on, this is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
With that being said, we're going to close it here and turn it over and let y'all get ready for this game as we are excited and we go take our seats as this is BCSN game time here in College Park for the SWAC men's and women's basketball tournament. By the time you see the end of this, you will understand that there will be a final champion in the SWAC to see who clinches that 4th ticket out of the men's and women's between the MEAC and the SWAC. We cannot forget that we have a 5th entrant as Tennessee State did it in the OVC on the men's side. So we'll see what that looks like. As bids go out tomorrow, we'll see what that final 68 looks like and who will it include. Prairie View of Southern, sit back and watch your excited game because it's bound to be just that. We're out here in Atlanta. We'll see you on Sunday night as we will bring you with Brian and AD as they do their sports wrap, and then we'll be back in action as we'll give you our show on Tuesday and give you our final thoughts of what took place here in College Park. That'll do it for us. We're out.
It's very intriguing to me in terms of when you start to argue. Just the last 5 years? Or does it go beyond that when you talk about Charles